we are developing into apartheid societies. I am not joking. We are developing apartheid. In most of these places, you have two groups of people living, not just rich and poor, the westernized and the native, the English speaking and the non-English speaking. Those who are connected to the global jet set, those who are not connected to the global jet, those who send their children to American and Canadian schools, and those who do not send their children to Canadian or cannot. Not that they do not, they would also like to do it. Anybody who has a chance, Maulana Maududi, who got sick, ran to the United States. Such is the situation of uneven growth. But it's an apartheid system. And those of you who know can draw the line actually. I can draw the map for you. I can draw you the map of Casablanca and Rabat and Cairo, in Karachi, Lahore. There are certain roads that divide one class from the other class. And this class divide is linguistic. It's not only economic. It's cultural. It's ideational. With the result that normally people who produce leaderships have nothing to do with the people. That's why the intelligentsia of Karachi could not reach the people of Karachi. Altaf Hussain did. So this apartheid that has been created, complex reasons why it has been created, I wouldn't go into that. So those are among the impediments, and I would list a few more. History of decline and failures. This continuous history of decline and failures has encouraged, given impetus to radical religious movements, to restorationist options. Option of restorationism is a common option all over the world. It has been watched through history. Any people that runs into, in fact any individual that runs into a major crisis faces, normally responds in four ways. Number one response is restoration. Let's do something that we can once again go back to being what we used to be. Let's figure out if we can put the clock back and be as glorious, as good, as happy, as nice as we used to be. Response number two, reconstructionist. Oh Baba, we can't do it. You can't go back to old times. We have got to reform, change, adjust, adapt. Muhammad Eqbal writing reconstruction of religious thought in Islam. No? Muslim modernists were reconstructionists. Then there is a response called revolutionary, radical. Turn things upside down, inside out, throw the past back, nothing can be reformed, leave everything back, forget, start all over again, new. Kemal Atatürk's response was just that. Turned everything upside down, become totally secular, turned his back on the past, on religion, on Islam, on civilization, on everything. A radical response. Then finally there is the response that I would call existentialist, managerial. I mean, when the things are very bad, try to do something about it, and then slightly gets better, then sail again. Look, as a teacher, I see this, I deal with it every day with my students in America and in Pakistan. At the individual level, I deal it more with America. At the social level, collective level, you see the phenomenon in Pakistan. वो हमारा माली आ जाता है वहाँ इस्लामाबाद में, कहता है सर कुछ नहीं होएगा, हमें हजरत उमर चाहिए, हमें हजरत उमर की जरूरत है सर। तो मैंने कहा वो क्या करेंगे? सर हमें ऐसी जरूरत है कि आदमी झोपड़ा में हो, प्रेसिडेंट हो साडा, ते झोपड़े विच बैठा रहे जी। He should sit in a hut, he should come out in his dhoti, he should beat the shit out of anybody who doesn't do things right. Bas, khatam. He wants the khilafat of Hazrat Umar. वो हमारे कुक साहब हैं, he thinks that things should be reformed. नहीं सर ठीक हो जाएगा, but ये होना चाहिए. Why don't you run for elections? As far as he's concerned, I should be running for election, etc. The students are funny. See, these are kids whose parents are breaking up very often. This was particularly true in the 80s and the early 90s. So the kid comes and talks about you. He said, what's going on? He said, you don't look right, Betsy. What's going on with you? He said, my mom and my papa are breaking up. Okay. So she talks to you for 1-2 days. Then the mom and pop, she tells them that she's been talking to me. So they come to see also. What do mom and pop say? Say, look, they both went to the same college. She was brighter than him. But he became a lawyer, she became a housewife. The first kid, Johnny, was born, then Betsy was born. When Betsy was born, they were living in the city, working at a big corporation. She said it's getting too crowded. They moved to the suburb. In the suburb, there was a big lawn, children played, they were happy, they grew up. By the time they were 15, 16, the woman had nothing to do. The structure of life has changed. There's not much to do. She's getting bored. She has also discovered a new ideology, feminism. So she is unhappy. She's unhappy. Things are not good. There's a crisis. The first response of husband sahab, the big husband, is, look honey, what's going on here? Why can't we be the way we used to be? You know, things were so nice. You know, you wanted to move this. You know what I'm saying? You know, let's go back. You know, you wanted to move to the suburb. I moved, honey, and we all moved. We were so happy. Johnny was growing up. They are good kids, aren't they? Good kids. They are beautiful kids. They're doing good in school too. And you know, I used to go. You used to drop me at the station, honey, and used to come back. You picked me up at the station. You said it's too boring for you to do. We bought a second car. We got 2 cars. I used to park and come back. I fixed the martini. You did the cooking. After that, we watched television together. She said, I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want it. Okay. Let's figure out. We should go and see a counselor. We'll do things right. We'll change. You want me to wash dishes, honey? I'll do it every day. Whatever you want. But let's divide our work, etc., etc. Reconstructions, reformist. It works sometimes. It doesn't work. Divorce, revolution. And most of the time, you manage, you know. Some days are happy, some weeks are unhappy. And so you drag on until things break down. See, why did I get so far off? The point I am making is that we are in a state of crisis, we all know that. And in this state of crisis, the restorationist options have been fully articulated. The reconstructionist, reformist options ceased to be articulated after 1940. Muslim world has not produced a single major reformer since the death of Muhammad Eqbal. You can say Abdul Nasir came in as a reformer. Okay, Abdul Nasir rode, and that whole movement rode on the crest of those reform movements and then mucked it up. So reformist options have even been discredited. Revolutionaries in the Muslim world have been basically cuckoo heads anyway. They haven't thought things through. So it's a very serious impediment, and these restorationist options are appealing right now. Many of you will disagree with me. I'm going to leave that question at the moment. I think that the appeal is genuine. In some places it's strong, and in all places it will hurt, not help, eventually. Few more quick ones. Reconstruction of religious thought in the Muslim world has not occurred. I was reading some prose Urdu writings of Eqbal, not referring to his lectures, The Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam. Some of his Urdu writings are very persuasive in merely arguing that there is no future for our civilization if we remain stuck without innovating new thought, new ideas on who we are and what we ought to be. And that hasn't occurred. So that reformation, the renaissance that the Western world counted on and lives on even today never occurs, has not yet occurred in our land. And finally, 2 points. There is too much unearned money and too much consumerism. It has taken hold. Petrol has done it, and you have all kinds of symbols of unearned money. For Pakistanis would understand, the BCCI was a symbol of unearned money. The number of people from elite families in Pakistan who worked for this banking system was shameful. And right now they are all jobless, a whole lot of them. These sheikhs that are running around, these intellectuals who are on commission, this excess of money and absence of wealth. By wealth I mean productive capabilities. You know what I mean? Excess of money and absence of wealth has distorted our societies. And finally, radical nationalists are largely spent force that I would later on count as in a sense, a good thing to have happen. So, what are the prospects? So far, I have given you a very bleak picture, no? Terribly bleak. Well, it ain't so bleak. First, please note, I mentioned it earlier, I won't explain more, that the urban middle classes and working classes are enlarging exponentially. And now they are faced with severe limits on growth. Unearned money is drying up very fast, especially in the Middle East. The reduction in oil prices has hit the Middle East in ways that I think are good for its future. If oil prices go up to $50 a barrel again, I will start worrying. Radical nationalist regimes, Syria, Egypt, Iraq, all those regimes that gave us so much elan, so much promise, so much hope, have been discredited. At the moment, that discredit is working in favor of the Islamic movements. But on the other hand, a third phenomenon has occurred. Wherever the Islamic movements have come to power, they are discrediting themselves faster, much faster than the radical nationalists did. I have been in and out of Iran a lot in the last 15 years. I haven't seen a a more endowed country in a worse shape economically than Iran is since the revolution. And in the first 10 years, I told myself that it was because of the Iran-Iraq war. But now, I have no explanation, except that those who run Iran are very incompetent planners. There are other good things about Iran, and I will be glad to talk to you about them. But at the moment, I'm merely saying that from the point of view of the people of Iran, the Islamic regime has lost its marbles. How long can they tolerate it? Only history can tell. But that option does not look attractive to the people of Iran. It may look attractive to some people in Pakistan. That's a different matter. That's a different matter, but it doesn't to them. Thirdly, market forces. Now, isn't that funny? I'm about to praise market forces for a change. Market forces have weakened and are weakening traditional structures of feudalism. Feudal families, feudal elites from Morocco to Pakistan are weaker today than they were before. And they, of course, were traditionally the ruling class. So, the Muslim world is in a pressure cooker. Mind you, when you are in a pressure cooker, as I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, as the Germans were, as the Spaniards were, as the Italians were, without far too many safety valves, you can explode either into fascism or into revolution or into a liberal democratic revolution. All I can conclude at the end is that the center cannot hold. Things won't remain what they are, and the need of the hour. Now, I have spoken longer than I had hoped. I think because looking at your faces, I felt that there are large numbers among you who are in some way connected to one of the many countries we are talking about. What I want to say at the end is that your connection is very important. Your connection can either help or hinder. You can play a good role or a bad role. As you probably know, I did some work 10 years, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, on the Hindu militant movement in India. It's a very sick movement. It's sicker in some ways than most Muslim movements I have seen. What struck me extraordinarily about Vishwa Hindu Parishad and BJP and the Rashtriya Sevak Sangh was the amount of help they were getting from the exiled Indian community in Canada and the United States. So in a very genuine sense, the Indian intelligentsia is connected to India, but in a bad sort of way. Not all of them. Many of them are connected to India in a good sort of way. But they're connected to India in a kind of way that I think will not give India a good future. All I can hope is that you shall be connected to your countries and your peoples in a strong, positive, progressive, I should use the word, enlightened and democratic ways. Thank you.
Okay, we're into the question and answer period, and I'm going to ask each of you to ask questions to exercise concision in your question formation. And can you speak up, please, as well?
What I want to say is that in your broad review, you have started from Morocco and ended in Pakistan. You did not go further.
Should have.
Another is that you talked about Western democracy, but you did not define it. The other is you talked about Islamic nations, but what you failed to do is that some of the Islamic movements were propped up to fight against communism. When the demon of communism faded away, the financiers or backers of those movements also fled away. Then comes the question of our younger generation is obsessed with the idea that is Islam worth following and how to reform it. There is a sickening of mind that has to be responded to by people like you.
Well, thank you very much. I am merely overwhelmed by my own failure, but all I can promise you is to try to do better next time. But thank you for your help. Yeah.
It's just a quick question. You mentioned how the countries, or the urban majority in these countries are influenced by the West, and especially when you're connecting the dependency theory to it. I'm just wondering, is there a hope mainly in the rural people, the pink people, and not this urban neo-colonialists? And if so, what can we do about it? Because you suggested the future intellectuals, convey the message to the urban masses. But how about the rural people?